The thing I love about Queen's Wharf the most is the sheer scale and how it really puts Australia on the global stage. It's that iconic postcard moment, you know, when you've got the Sydney Opera House in Sydney and you've got Fed Square in Melbourne. This will be Brisbane's moment, and the fact that you can live there, people really want to be a part of that.
The community is embracing what we're building, and the anticipation is building. We've got 9 tower cranes at the moment on site, and at night it's an amazing view. It's really already added to the skyline with the illuminated jib, so people can see it coming.
Yeah, the anticipation behind Queen's Wharf has been huge. We've been working on it since 2013. People I talk to have actually been waiting to buy into this because they understand the uniqueness and the opportunity.
Queen's Wharf was put out by the Queensland Government to establish a global tourism hub. They didn't just want a casino, they wanted a real contribution to the city of Brisbane. That's how it all started.
We work on some of the largest master plan precincts in Australia's largest cities, something we're passionate about and we do very well. We launched into Queensland back in 2016 with the Star Gold Coast, same joint venture partners actually as Queen's Wharf, so the Star Entertainment Group and Chow Tai Fook. We sold over 300 in 3 months. It was really well received and it really gave us a great excitement for how big Queen's Wharf could be.
Brisbane is like a mini Manhattan. So with the completion of Queen's Wharf, the city will be framed on all 4 sides. It'll have the Queen Street Mall, it will have Riverside to the east, Botanic Gardens to the south, and then to the west side, it will have Queen's Wharf. So you have this beautiful concentrated isthmus of land. It's like a small island, like Manhattan. It'll be a very vibrant city into the future.
The eyes of the world have turned to Brisbane. We are hosting the 2032 Olympics, and Queen's Wharf is going to feature as that iconic symbol as people look to us to investigate what is here. When it opens in 2023, it's like nothing Brisbane will have ever seen before.
When Queen's Wharf opens and is operational, everything will be at your doorstep. You will be living in the beating heart, in the centre of Brisbane.
Why wouldn't you want to live there? It has everything. You know, a casino, 50 restaurants and bars, 4 to 5 international hotels, brand new, and 12 football fields of urban renewal along the Brisbane River.
Further to that, there is Queen's Plaza, which sits underneath the IRD along Queen's Wharf Road. Queen's Wharf is about drawing people from the city grid down to the river, and that'll be the key point. And that's where people will meet. That's where we'll have live music, breweries, markets on weekend, and that's where you'll want to be.
Not to mention the views, which will be spectacular.
Queen's Wharf has a very powerful historical significance to the birthplace of Brisbane. So what used to be a gateway and an entry portal to the colony now has the potential of becoming a gateway to the future of Brisbane.
Queen's Wharf is unlike anything we've seen in Australia. It's a precinct that's integrated with an exciting amount of amenity. You've got over 40,000 square metres of retail, a sky deck, casino, easy access to the heart of the performing arts precinct is in Brisbane, South Bank, and all on the doorsteps of Brisbane's Botanic Gardens. Queen's Wharf Residences was our fastest selling project in Brisbane's history. Now with the exciting story of Brisbane's 2032 Olympics on the way, we think Queen's Wharf Tower will be just as anticipated.
Queen's Wharf Tower in the Mansions Precinct is the tallest of the entire development. In a way, it sort of anchors the northeast corner of the master plan and becomes a sort of a gateway to Queen's Wharf itself. There is no other site like this in Brisbane. It is part of the overall Queen's Wharf master plan, but then it has a lot of heritage context of its own.
It's the largest cluster of heritage buildings being upgraded and open to the public in Australia.
We're not trying to compete with the heritage building. We're contributing to the streetscape. We're creating a modern piece of architecture, but does that in a very respectful, very sensitive sort of manner. Most towers come down and sit on a podium, but here we've turned it around. We've lifted the tower off the street level and sat it on columns. It opens up these view lines and these sight lines to all the heritage buildings around. for passers-by on street level, which is fantastic.
We've got great views to the northeast, right over the Botanic Gardens, the CBD itself, the Brisbane River as it wraps around out to Moreton Bay, as well as other unique view lines and aspects that will look right over the iconic Queen's Wharf sky deck towards Mount Cootha and South Bank.
It's quite deliberately sculpted and oriented for things like that to happen.
We've taken a lot of feedback on board in terms of apartment size, the way people work from home, and the quality of amenities that residents now desire.
There's a heritage listed building on our site called The Mansions. It's a fantastic example of residential architecture, and we saw some amazing details in that building. We thought it would be fantastic to bring some of those into our project and reinterpret them.
Using the architectural arches, redefining that subtly through the interior. So with arched shapes in the kitchen joinery, the floating shelves to the shapes of the mirrors. We've used modern and streamlined tapware, but in a bronze finish to give you that reference back to the mansions and that heritage narrative.
The apartments themselves have been designed in a way to cater for people who may like to work from home, use spaces in their apartment flexibly. We've got studies, we've got multi-purpose rooms, and we've even got large executive apartments for those that want that discerning home in the sky.
When you're in our apartments, it actually feels like you're maybe in a modern Queenslander, but what you get is actually the amenity of the city. You get all of the excitement of being adjacent to the Queen's Wharf precinct, and you get the biggest backyard you've ever seen in the Botanical Gardens right on your doorstep.
Queen's Wharf Tower is going to provide a lifestyle like no other. It's probably a generational type of development that really can compare to some of the most landmark developments and locations across the globe.
It's an exciting time for Brisbane. Imagine living in a complex with 50 bars and restaurants, 12 football fields of public realm, a bikeway, access to the river. It'd be a wonderful place to live.
Queen's Wharf is a link which connects the history of Brisbane to potentially the future of Brisbane. So what used to be a gateway and entry portal to the colony now has the potential of becoming a gateway to the future of Brisbane.
Brisbane is the river city, and 50% of the capital's waterfront currently doesn't have a lot of access to it, and Queen's Wharf is actually the cure to that.
If you think back to early settlement days of Brisbane, roughly 200 years ago, the aspirations of people on those boats coming from Moreton Bay up the river, and that last bend of the river is a natural arc and a natural curve. Metaphorically, it aims to sort of reflect that.
Queen's Wharf is the heritage centre of Brisbane. There's 9 heritage buildings, which are some of the best collection of buildings you will ever see.
One of the number one rules, if you like, from a master planning level at the very early stages of the process has been to embrace and celebrate and adaptively reuse the heritage. So every single element of heritage has been preserved and in fact enhanced.
The new public space that we've built, the first stage, 500-metre transformation of the riverfront. We didn't just want another river walk, we wanted to give a nod to the Brisbane River, and the Mangrove Walk really does that. We spoke to the local Indigenous groups, the Jagera people, the Turrbal people, and we worked with them to get their input and make sure that their life and their history was acknowledged on that river walk.
With embracing the outdoors, we've got 12 football fields of public realm, new hotel infrastructure, 50 bars and restaurants, and of course lots of new residential accommodation so people can enjoy living right in the heart of the city as part of the new Queen's Wharf development.
The podium level, which sits above level 7, it'll have outdoor movies, pop-up markets.
Is the space for people to be able to celebrate, to enjoy and to entertain, to bring the families, bring the friends and the visitors, and to celebrate everything that Brisbane has to offer.
What we're building here is really going to complement everything else that's in Brisbane. The retail space will complement what we've already got on Queen Street Mall, the busiest mall in Australia. It'll complement the food and beverage at South Bank. but we're going to activate the evenings with those bars and restaurants.
A whole new system of laneways, of public spaces, of bridges and connections will actually mean that the city of Brisbane is reconnected to its most historic waterfront, the birthplace of Brisbane.
You've got the river wrapping around the precinct, you've got the botanical gardens, you've got an entertainment precinct, and that's all within a few hundred metres of where you are living.
Those people that are lucky enough to live at Queen's Wharf will be buying into a community like no other in Brisbane.